What's going on, guys? It's your boy CryptoMykel here, coming to you today with a FA hardware update, guys. Today we are going over the E300 and how to overclock it and undervolt it a little bit to get the best performance out of your E300 if you have one. I am able to achieve on one device like 15.3 gigahashes for like 503 watts. The other one sits right around 15 gigahashes. It's like 14, like 0.98 for about 500 watts. And the other one I have stock right now. So I'm trying to do a comparison between the three and from some of the things that I've learned along the way. And I'm gonna show y'all that, as well as we're gonna go over like full guide of like how to overclock it and kind of some things to watch out for because you will see errors if you if your voltage is too low. You'll have a higher error ratio. If your frequency maybe is too high, you'll have chain errors where the FPGA won't load because the voltage is just too high. And every chip is a lot, like, really different. Like, that's one thing I've noticed out of at least the three that I've tuned so far, that every chip is different. Some overclocks just don't run the same on other machines, as well as don't run well on other boards. I've noticed that quite a lot. Plus, we know that FPGA 2 in the lineup has a smaller heatsink, so you don't want to like go crazy pushing voltages on that one as much as you would maybe on the other ones. So we'll take a dive over that right here today, right now. So of course we are talking about an E300 here from Osprey Electronics. You can use the code Mykel125 to get $125 off of your order. I would greatly appreciate it. That does bring it back down to the pretty much the original MSRP plus an extra $25 off. They still do have a Noctua version. You can get the 3000 Noctua fans on there instead of the 6000 RPM fans. I lock my fans to around 55%, so I'm pushing around 3000 RPMs myself on those. The ones that we have at the facility, when I was had it here testing, I was able to run the fans down as low as 3 to 4, and the chips were well within temperature. But of course, it's warmer in the facility than it is inside of here, so discrepancies there. But you can get this thing for right now a price of $5,100, basically $5,200, right? With the code Mykel125, you will get it for a bit cheaper. So I would greatly appreciate if you use that code. It means a lot to me, and I greatly appreciate anyone that's used it so far, because y'all are showing so much love, and I greatly appreciate every bit of it. Can't wait to see where this goes and get our own machine and have some fun with it, right? Now, let's dig in, guys. Now, some things to kind of keep in note that on the miner page, you do not want to increase your voltages, or you don't want to increase your clock over 700 megahertz. That is on the miner page, which you can see right here, which we'll go to in 1 second. Now, like I was kind of saying, if you notice that you're getting chain errors, things like that, it's because your voltages are too high. When you go to set voltages, you just kind of check things out here. Over on the side of the bar, you have the miner, fan speeds, adjustments, update firmware. Memory is in the middle, as well as for 1000, and then the voltages. Now here is the miner page, and this is where I said you cannot run 700. You cannot run over 700 clock on these. Stock is 550. All right. Now, of course, we're going to start changing this, but in order to do that, we need to stop the miner because we're running around 13.13 gigahashes in stock configuration. So once we stop the miner, we'll be able to start adjusting the clocks. You can adjust your voltages while the miner is running. You can just do it one by one. and you can actually apply the voltages while the miner is still running, and not have any issues. If you're having chain errors and the FPGA is not being recognized, you're not going to be able to set the voltages. So I'll show you that here in a minute, because we will run into that issue during this testing. I had to like break down more than an hour's worth of video into this. So we're going to go ahead and change the voltage of FPGA 0 real fast. We're going to change it to 645 instead of just the stock around 600. And we're going to bump up the core, but we are going to kind of play with this, right? We will be bumping this back down and changing things around for this. Now, for Caspa specifically, you can set your memory to 1000 to save some more watts, because Caspa doesn't really use the memory of the FPGAs, so you can just change that. So go back in here into the miner, and we're going to change FPGA 0, same one we just changed the voltage on, and we're going to go ahead and click start. And now you can see down here at the bottom, it'll show the updated log once it pushes the data through. And there it goes. Sometimes it takes a while, sometimes it really doesn't. But all of our stuff is updating. Alright, now we can hop back into the miner screen and watch it load up. As you'll see, there it goes. FPGAs were successfully loaded right here. There's DNA numbers right here that I'm hiding, that I just prefer to hide for the customer's sake and benefit. Now things are starting to kind of ramp up here. Now you can see the memory voltage once the miner screen comes back up here again. Yep, see right here, here's a comms device, and that is because I set voltage of FPGA device 0 too high. Alright, so now FPGA, we know FPGA 1 does not like that setting whatsoever, so we need to change and go ahead and stop the miner, because we need to really, it's this clock right here. This is a little too high. It's not so much the memory, but we will change it a little bit here. 645. Remember, you can set the memory voltage to 1000 because you don't really need it. Change voltages. Takes it a second. I've noticed 645 and 640 to be like a pretty good number. And then 620 on the FPGA core clock. Successfully loaded. Go. There's some shares, and now we know we're hashing. So you can see we are pushing more voltage. 645, 1000, 1000, 1000, 600, and 600. Stock voltage is 600. Alright, now there's our hash. Almost 5 gigahashes. So we're at 4.93. And then now I bet I can bump this back up to 650, and I will get my my voltages back. So we let it run for about it's been about 10 minutes already. I just kind of let it pause for a second, and then we are sitting pretty stable over the last 10 minutes or so. So now we can move on to the next chip and kind of see how that goes and test out that one, because not every chip is going to be the same. Sometimes you can get like a generic overclock for all of them, but not every one has been the same. And what you would need to look out for is over here you'll have errors, and it says 0.000 pound 033. So right here is where you'll actually notice if you have your voltages too high, or sorry, too low. Too low, you'll have errors. Too high, you'll have chain errors. So you can pull back your VCCINT. see. Alright, so we'll go to the next one. See if the next one will just take the same generic overclock. Put 645. Remember, you can put 1000 on the mem because you don't need it. Okay. Minor settings. Yep, see it set it. So now we can change our core voltage, or our core, not to 5,621, 620. Click start, and away we go. Alright, so we are back in here now. We're getting some shares, so we know that we are hashing. Everything, all FPGAs loaded. I didn't see. Usually if one doesn't load, that's usually no, you have a chain error, but so far so good. Alright. Hash rate. Sometimes it does take a second, so, but we are getting hash, getting shares, no rejected shares, which is good, or stale shares, because there's a pretty like close relationship with voltages, clocks, and hash rate for like FPGAs. It's not like a GPU. They all directly affect each other. Alright, so there we go. Exact same hash rate, so 4.935 gigahashes on that board now. So the exact same setting, exact same overclock. So we'll let it kind of sit here for a second, and we'll see if we get errors, because that'll be the determining factor if we need to go down or up in this matter. So we shall see. Alright, so we're gonna, it's been 10 minutes. We're gonna go ahead and stop the miner because it's been running like perfect, 86 shares, which is a better ratio than FPGA 0. So most likely FPGA 1 could be pushed a little more because it is getting a higher acceptance, which I noticed that on one of the other devices is kind of the same way. Is the device in the middle, which is FPGA 1, was pushed a little harder than the other two. I don't know why that was, but so far. So we're going to try to underclock this one and see if it likes to be underclocked a little bit. So we're going to go with 620 on the voltage instead of the normal 645. So we're just going to up it by 600. And then we're going to give it a bit of a higher frequency for 660. Now, this will most likely result in errors. So, but all in the name of science, right? Wait for the FPGAs to load, which they did just now. It's these blank spots. It says FPGA, FPGA, FPGA. Sorry. So there are the shares accepted. Hopefully with the new, I'm learning Adobe Premiere right now. So we'll have new editing software soon. We'll be able to like blur specific spots without having to have this gigantic line down the middle. Kind of ruining the shot, right? Alright, so there we go. Looks like resetting device. So we're having issues with FPGA 2, which I knew was going to happen because we set its voltage a little too low on purpose. And now this is where if you run into this kind of situation, you'll see that it'll be like resetting and it'll get its hash rate back. You'll see it over here on the side in a second. But what you can't do is try to apply the voltages while it's like this. So like you can see it has hash rate. will try to apply the voltage, but I promise you it will not work while the device is in this state. Turn off the miner, go ahead, set your voltages. If you notice that it's still doing it over and over, even after you tried it a couple of times, I've noticed I had to reset the device once for it to basically clear the setting out, and just because the control board got hung up. Really nothing to it, just a good reboot. But pausing the miner usually will get you where you need to be. So we just went and paused it, and then we applied our voltage, and then we went back at it, right? So you can see it takes it a second once the devices are loaded for stuff to kind of show up. And you can see FPGA 0 and 1 are on, but 2 has a 0 on it. It's likely it still didn't like that overclock. Even after changing it, yep, still didn't like it. So has a higher error ratio than more than 5% restarting the device. So still not high enough. And that is mainly just because the two are not agreeing, right? In order to run that specific core clock, that memory voltage will not work. They are very directly correlated. So I kind of play with it a little bit to figure out which one will really work the best. We'll try it again here, and as you can see, it still not gonna apply. So go back to the miner. We'll see if we can see here first. Alright, so we'll stop the miner. And now if I turn down my clock, I would be able to run this voltage. That is for sure. So we're going to go ahead and change this. Oh, I put a 640. Click start. So remember, we're still running the same voltage. Still running a 620 on the memory voltage, but we are running a different clock now. So we'll see how this plays out. All right, FPGAs are loaded. And let's see what we can get here. And what I did learn is that you can actually SSH into these machines. Yep, still the same thing. You can actually SSH into these machines and control them from like a Ubuntu CLI version, which is actually really cool. Thought it was actually pretty freaking fancy. So we got here. So it started running a lower voltage because it restarted. So we're gonna go ahead and stop the miner. I know on this machine particularly, it was definitely didn't hit as hard as the other machine, but there is still some room that I have left on the table for like improvements. Mainly want to see how low of wattage we can get for the amount of hash rate. So this one's right underneath 15, but this one does pull a little less than 500 watts, which is the reason why it has so many errors. It's because it's just too low of voltage, like right there on the edge. I'm actually on the way to the farm as soon as we are done with this video, and going to reset it again and kind of play with the cores and voltages again to see if we can get it more efficient as well, even if that means giving it more power. It is what it is. Alright, so we'll pause it again. Stop the miner. And this is what I mean by, like, you literally have to like play with each individual chip and kind of see if they like the clocks or not. So from what I know so far, running it at 645 on the memory voltage or on the VCC, you can run it at 620 on the clock and achieve just under 15 gigahashes. And if you notice that it starts having more and more errors, start increasing the VCC just by a little bit, or decreasing it, depending on your error. If you have high errors, then you need to, if high errors, your voltage is too low. If you're getting chain errors like that, the voltage was too high for that clock. Also, their Discord is extremely helpful. There we go. So 4.93 gigahash on that board, hitting 14.81 gigahashes. Alright, so we'll let it run for a second and see kind of how it likes to like act. So far so good, and as you can see, the VCC, even though we have it set to 45, we're sitting around 625 millivolts, and that is because our core is so low. So you can't go to 700 with your core. So we could keep bumping up the core, but we would probably have errors, because we would have to increase the voltage a little bit. But we are using less than 645 millivolts from the VCC. In our VRAM for the memory is plus 0. It's set to stock 1000. I think that'll do it. Temperatures aren't bad. I mean, plus this is in the facility, so it's a little warmer in there than it is here. Just a wee little bit. Now remember, guys, you can use the code Mykel125 to get $125 off an Osprey E300. That is a 3 hash board model. There is an Osprey E100 that is a single hash board variant of the E100 or E300, and you can upgrade the E100 to a E300 by buying the additional hashing boards. So that's pretty freaking awesome. If you need a lower entry point to get into the E300, that is a easier way to build your way in, right? But we will have some news and maybe a discount code coming out for that here real soon, and then we'll have an extra bit of surprise coming out that I can't wait to share with you guys here coming really soon. We'll also be installing the antenna on our Osprey G2 hotspot for helium, and getting that, that one's actually really interesting. It pings someone, probably the furthest I've ever seen someone than I've ever seen one of my hotspots pinged before. But nonetheless, here we are. It's sitting fine, been hashing fine. FA to that. Can't go wrong there. I freaking appreciate every single one of you guys. You all guys are amazing, guys. I appreciate every single one of you for showing so much love for the E300 and the videos and the content that I've created for this. I hope this video helps you And if you have an E300, hope this helps with a guide to overclocking it, getting a bit more hash out of it. And now, like I said, every E300 is a little bit different. It's not really the E300, it's really each chip is a little different. Some chips just like a little more voltage than others. Some can be pulled away a lot of voltage, and while others can't. So it really comes down to a silicon lottery of which chip is better. I know that for a fact on one of the other machines, the highest hash rate I can get out of it is like 4.3 gigahashes on that specific board with a 665 core clock and a 645 memory voltage clock. So, which is kind of what we were trying on that very last board, and as you can tell, it did not like that clock whatsoever. But it is like achievable, and it can run and will run like 5.3 gigahashes, but this one just can't do that. So it's kind of a lottery. You have to like physically play with each one of these chips to find their best like spot and decide if you're gonna decide to spend more watts for more hash rate, or are you gonna play it for efficiency and stability. I know keeping that machine at 645 on the memory and 620 on the clocks, or not on the memory but on the voltages, and then 620 on the core clocks, it has like 0 errors, and it doesn't air out, doesn't have any high errors or anything. So overall pretty stable. But hope you guys enjoyed this video. Smash the like button, subscribe button, use the bell notification so you know every time we go live and post videos here. We would greatly appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed this FA Friday clip of tuning an Osprey E300. You can get your code for Mykel125 down in the description below to get $125 off an E300. We'll catch y'all on the next one. Much love. Peace out. Keep your hash rates up, your watts down low, and stay savage. We'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.